Hey guys, what's up? So, after a very popular request, I've got Orlando on here to speak on the history of money and just touch on cryptocurrency as well. So, this video is going to be very beginner friendly. Orlando is a very successful trader. He's someone that I actually follow and learn a lot from as well. He mentors people to be successful traders as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to have him on and to be sharing a lot of, I guess, like to a lot of people, this will be quite new and you guys will get a lot of very new information. You might have a bit of like a light bulb moment, things like that. Really quick disclaimer before, he comes on and shares what he's about to. This is in no way, shape or form financial advice, okay? Always do your own research and just, be making decisions and be doing what you believe is best and right for you, okay? Sweet. So I'm going to let you take it away. I better let you be able to share your screen as well. So
thanks for having me on again. Very excited to share this call because, like Larissa said, right, it's not financial advice. We're putting people in a place of empowerment where we can educate you guys to make a right decision on where you guys could put your money, right? So it's just by staying educated and, knowing this stuff, man, because this stuff literally can change your life if you let it.
Yeah.
All right. So, why the world needs crypto? What investors need to know about crypto? Like she said, it's going to be very beginner friendly. Contents of what we're going to cover tonight. We'll be covering the evolution of money, the brief history about money. What is inflation? What the heck is Web 3.0? Why does crypto fit into all this? And if Larissa has questions that people have been wanting to know, I can answer them at the end. Stuff that I haven't covered in the slide, and a little bit of trading stuff at the end if we want to, but don't have to. So we'll get the session started. Make sure you have a pen and paper ready to take some notes. I want to give you guys a lot of information today, so please be open-minded with this as well. The thing that I run into a lot is that a lot of people, I'll tell them, they'll come with a question and wanting to know, and once I tell them, they're like, nah, man, that's not right. That's dumb. That's stupid. And I'm just like, man, like you have to have an open mind. This is going to happen whether people like it or not. And just because you weren't buy into it doesn't mean, other people won't buy it, right? So please have an open mind about this, and take notes, okay? Take notes. So, right, the first one we're going to go over is evolution of money. So, right, all throughout history has been recorded different ways us as humans have used money and transactions. The first ever sort of like transaction system that we've used in history, right, was bartering. Right, what bartering is that back then there was no money. So what you do is that you would have a good and someone else would have a good. Like Larissa would have tomatoes, I'd have potatoes, and would come up with an agreement that my potatoes are worth the same value as your tomatoes, so they would make an exchange, right? That's what you call bartering, is that you'd negotiate and then you'd swap. I don't know if you guys been to Bali or to Thailand, but that's sort of what they still do today. They still barter, right? And so they'll come to an agreement where what I have is the same value as what you have, so then would agree and swap, right? The problem with bartering is that a lot of the goods that you'd be swapping do go off, right? Like whether it's food, whether it's tools or whatnot, right? With food, it'll go off. With tools, it'll somewhat break. And that was a problem. And the other problem that they would have as well is that, if you got some potatoes or a good that you want to get rid of, right, you have to find someone else that's looking for that same. We're looking for exactly. You need people that need potatoes or that want potatoes, right? Which made it very, very narrow, very hard to exchange, right? So from bartering, right, a lot of problems with bartering. So from bartering, we went to gold, right? Gold was good. It had nice value, right? People were digging it up from the gold. It was a nice gold rush. People were getting gold, and but the problem with gold was, right, if you wanted to buy like bread, you couldn't just shave off a bit of gold to go buy bread, right? That was one problem. The other problem was it's too heavy to carry, right? If you were going from here to here, gold is heavy, right? The other problem with gold is that, if you had a lot of it and you're rich, back then you couldn't flex it, right? You couldn't show off your gold like you do today or your money like you did today, because back then, right, you probably get killed. You probably get robbed, right? Back then it was very hard, very tough to store gold, right? So that was the problem with gold. Everyone loved the gold system, but those were the problems. It's too heavy. You couldn't break it up, right? Diversify it, and you couldn't store it, right? So what was created after that was banks. This is where banks would come up. This is where banks like come into play. Banks created a building where they're like, "Yep, we're legitimate. We're banked. What we're gonna do is, right, if people want to, they can store their gold in the bank, right? And in exchange, the bank will give you coins and paper money, right? And on the paper would say exactly the amount of gold that you have in the bank. So then you'll just use that paper money to go do your spending, your buying your goods and services. Okay, so from gold they went to paper money and coins, right? And then so a lot of us were born into this system today, which is plastic cards, electronic money, where now it's no longer coins and paper. Now money is just numbers on the screen. It's all digital, right? For me, like I pay now with my phone. I don't even use my card anymore. I just like what do you call it? The Apple Pay or whatever.
Yeah.
Just double tap the lock button and you pay. Right? It's just numbers on the screen. I'm not holding coins. I'm not holding paper. I'm just literally pushing the button and going like this. That's electronic money. That's the system that we've kind of gone through. That we've grown up through. Sorry. And where we're at today, right, is now cryptocurrency. Because a lot of people find it hard to believe that we're going to be changing money systems, right? Way of transactions is changing. But if you look back at this photo and the history that we've been through, right, we've upgraded different ways of money, different ways of transactions. It's always been a problem. And like the next sort of money solves the problem that we had in the past, right? This is what I believe that, right, that cryptocurrency is the last form of sort of money transactions. It's because cryptocurrency cryptocurrency literally solves every single problem that we've had in the past. Right, well, bartering, right? The problem was goods would go off, right? And you have to find someone that wanted the same thing. With crypto, it's digital, it can't go off, right? And there's always a demand for it. Gold, right? Too heavy to carry, you can't store it in your house. With cryptocurrency, to store billions and billions of dollars is all you need. And it's borderless. You can carry it, you can take your money across the different countries, right? And it's all just on your phone. Paper money, coins, same thing with counterfeiting, right? Paper coins, right? People printing money, making fake money. I don't know if you guys seen Catch Me If You Can by Leonardo DiCaprio. Now he was counterfeiting money, right? Well, with cryptocurrency, you can't counterfeit it, right? It's built on this technology that is called what is called blockchain. And I'll get into that maybe a little bit later or on another call. But what blockchain is that blockchain allows something digital to have scarcity, right? A limited amount, so to speak. So with Bitcoin, right, I want to use Bitcoin in this lecture. Bitcoin is the first ever thing that's digital, but it has scarcity, it has a limited amount, right? We live in a day and age today, and a lot of people can relate, right? Where you can screenshot things, you can copy and paste things, you can screen record, right? And it's got no value. You can just literally just screen record all this. But with cryptocurrency, right, with Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever in history. Going to be in history. You can't make any more Bitcoin, right? Or you can make another Bitcoin, but it's not the original Bitcoin, right? And you can see all this on blockchain technology. So blockchain, that's why you have NFTs a lot, but there's a big NFT hype right now where people don't understand. They're like, man, I seen someone's story the other day, and they're like, I will never understand how someone would spend $1 million on a monkey and I can just screenshot it. And I was like, man, it's like
they missed the point. They're missing all the benefits from it. Prime example is, the ape coin, the actual, the original holders of Bored Ape Yacht Club, they got airdropped, how much ape tokens, whereas if you got a screenshot of the monkey, you're not going to get those benefits, You
get nothing. That's what you get. You get nothing. You get nothing, man. Right? And this is pure example of what blockchain technology is. Blockchain knows who the original owners are, knows which apes, not the screenshot one, the real apes that are on blockchain, right? And like I said, it's a technology thing. It's a generational thing. Right? The person that did the status is older than me. So I understand that they don't understand. So it makes sense. But this is a technology thing, right? And it's in a way I see it like this way. Like I see it's not really like for our generation because we've kind of like past. It's for the next generation, the younger generation. When they become adults, this is going to be their mainstream. Just like when we were younger, right? When we were younger, Facebook and YouTube and all these apps like TikTok and that, right? For adults back then, they would be like, man, this is so dumb, this is so stupid. Years later today, right? The generation that are young who have now grown up, but this is their sort of thing, right? This is their, it's always for the next generation, right? And
just like adaptation, like, you know,
yep.
kind of evolving with the times. If you're not gonna really be implementing in the new information, like where the world's going, yep. It's pretty easy to kind of be left behind.
And I use like islanders as an example. Like a lot of islander parents, they don't want to know about phones, they don't want to know about Wi-Fi, they don't want to know about technology. Fast forward to today, you know, a lot of them are struggling to send text messages or send emails, where that's what the world is today, right? The thing with technology, right, you have to know, remember, cryptocurrency is technology. One thing about technology that we can take for the last 30 years is that it never takes a backward step. Technology always evolves and keeps going. It doesn't care if people are on board or not. It's just going to keep evolving. It doesn't care. It just keeps going. And we've seen that happen in the last 30 years. So taking that into account, right, we can kind of have a guesstimate of what's going to happen in the next 30 years, right, with what technology is going to do. And I feel like this time around, it's going to go a lot faster because kids that are born in 2000, right, they're 22 to this year, right? They're 2022. They're 22 this year. So they've lived their whole life with technology. So for them to be introduced to a new technology, like they're gonna be like, oh, you bet, like I know technology, like boom, we're gonna pick it up way quicker. So I feel like technology in the next couple of years is just gonna happen way faster. And the gap of people who choose not to believe it or not to flow with it, there's gonna be a massive gap because technology is just gonna go, right? Go with people, and the faster people pick it up, the faster technology goes. Mm-hmm. All right. So cryptocurrency solves every single problem we've had in the past with money transactions, right? So that's what we lead to today, right? Who controls the food supply, controls the people. Who controls the media, controls the minds. And who controls the money, controls the world, right? And this is what we lead to in our next slide, right? A little bit about who controls the money. Because right now, USA control the money, right? They're the world reserves currency. So every single like currency, like Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, every currency on this planet is back to the US dollar. US dollars, they control the money supply, right? The US Treasury, the US Federal Reserve, they're the ones that can print money. And I want to explain to you guys how. So back in 1971, right, this man right here, his name was Richard Nixon. Before 1971, the US dollar was backed by gold, right? Meaning that they were only allowed to have as much paper and metal coins as there were the gold in the bank, right? It had to match, because if they gave out more paper money, right, it wouldn't add up because there wasn't that much gold in the bank, so they had to match it, right? So in 1971, Richard Nixon, he went on international television and told the whole world, pretty much announced to the whole world that the US dollar is going to no longer be backed by gold, right? Meaning that, so they were matched, right? US dollar, the gold, right? When they removed the gold standard, this means that they were able to print as much paper money and coins as they wanted to, right? Because it no longer had to match the gold. So back then, when it was backed by gold, people would have paper money and coins. They'd go to the bank and they go, yep, I want my gold back, my physical gold, right? You give paper money and you get given gold back, right? Nowadays, you get to the bank and give them paper money, you just get given paper money, right? You just get given this like more paper money, because remember, the paper money and gold only had value because it was backed by gold, right? Now that it's no longer backed by gold, it's just paper and coins. That's all they are. It's just paper money. There's nothing, got no value. That's where the word fiat comes, right? F-I-A-T, fiat money. And you guys can look this up. Do your own research. Remember, we're here to educate you guys. And I want you guys to go look this stuff up, because once you look this stuff up, right, I can tell you all this sort of stuff, and you guys might not believe it, but it's not until you actually go do your due diligence and research this, then you'll believe it even more, because you're making an effort to go like read this stuff and look it up. Okay, so US dollar no longer backed by gold, is now backed by decree. Right, look that up as well. us as consumers all trust and agree that the US dollar is worth what the bank says. Majority agrees that the rest follow. Most of us were born into this agreement without even knowing it, and we had no other choice up until now with cryptocurrency. How? Now we have an option, right? We choose to use the dollar, which is backed in US dollar, which has no value, or move to a global cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. And it's in that right now, it's all just a majority game, right? Majority of people use US dollar and New Zealand dollar, so the world has to use US dollar. If the majority of the people choose to use cryptocurrency, right, the world will have to eventually use cryptocurrency, right? And just to make it clear, Bitcoin, right, it's not owned by anyone, it's not controlled by anyone. It's technology, it's code, right? Think of it like this: someone typed in the code and like it only does what you've coded it to do. It won't take anything more, anything less. It only does what it's meant to do, right? You push enter and it just happens. It just flows automatically. It's sort of like automation, right? Sort of like automated. So it just goes and goes and goes. So from this, right? From this brief history of money, it allowed the US to print as much money as they wanted to because they're no longer backed by gold. It was now backed by nothing. This is the birth of fiat, right? So basic law of supply and demand, right? The basic law of supply and demand, write this down, right? If there's more of something, right? If there's a large supply of something, right? The demand for it's not or won't grow because say if there's $1 million or a million like shoes, right? I wouldn't go buy it today because I know I can just go next week or next month to buy it, right? The demand's not high for it. There's no urgency to go buy it. With cryptocurrency, right? With something like Bitcoin, with 21 million ever in history, right? There's a sense of urgency to go get it because you don't know if there's going to be any more next week or next year. Or, there's limited amount, finite amount. So when the US were printing money, right? When they printed money, the value of it went down because there's more of it. Right. So, what's an example? Like,
I just use Apple and the diamonds ones.
Apples and diamonds.
Because apples are so cheap. They're like the cheapest fruit, right? And like, why? Just think to your guys' selves, like, why are apples a lot cheaper than I don't know, like pineapples? Because there's not as many pineapples. I don't know, they're seasonal or whatever, or even you're not going to pay the same price for one apple and then like one diamond because diamonds. Yes, they're rare, they're harder to get. And obviously apples are kind of everywhere.
Yeah, that's like avocados, man. Like some days one avocado is like $5. And you're like, why is it so expensive? And like you said, it's seasonal. Like and during sometimes when it's out of season, right, there's a less amount of avocados, so they have to put the price of it higher to balance the supply and demand. Right? With apples, you can get apples all year long. So you just like it doesn't get more expensive because you can just get it next week. But with avos, right, is it's a bit of scarce to it, right? But when they're in season, right, then they're just normal price. I love avos.
I also want to touch on quickly like what Orlando said about, the blockchain technology, there's no middleman. So when you're transferring like say Bitcoin to someone else, it's just a peer-to-peer transaction. So if I sent Orlando Bitcoin, I would just be sending it from like myself or, my wallet, and I'd be sending it straight to him. There's no middleman as in like the banks where they kind like, that can be traced and kind of dictated on whether or not I can send him money. And a really quick example, which is, it's a whole nother like huge thing to even go into, but how I think it was over in they had the bank accounts frozen. Where exactly was it?
And Russia, I think Canada too. They did that.
Yep, exactly. So see how the banks hold the power to actually control the money that we believe is ours, but we can't, do that if they decide like, no, you can't make that transaction. So they actually do control our money if we're using their system and the fiat currency.
Yep.
So yeah.
And it happened in Russia too. Like they stopped Russia and Ukraine, they like stopped everyone's bank accounts, but people were still able to send them crypto.
Yes.
Like the government can't stop cryptocurrency. Like that's pretty amazing.
There was also actually the US government, like this might not be completely accurate, but I'm pretty sure it was the US government. They requested to coin I think it was Coinbase and Binance to not do business over in Russia. So people, like, what that kind of means is like people weren't able to access or send their cryptocurrency or buy cryptocurrency through Coinbase and Binance, which is like, one of the two, like very high up there in the top exchanges. But they declined that because, like, no, there's a lot of innocent people and things over there. But it just goes to show that we're more in control, and it's more like, cryptocurrency is like the people's money. Okay. We've got control over it, not the big
government.
Yeah.
It's like power back to the people, man. Like, facts. All right. I want to play this video with Robert Kiyosaki. He's the GOAT. And this video is actually I watched this video a couple of years ago, and I never understood what it meant until I actually really looked into what inflation was and money printing was. So how about watching this?
Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard.
Oh,
in debt.
Wait, let me just.
1871, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and the U.S. dollar became debt. And we still tell kids to go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and get out of debt. Now, who tells them to do that? That's the most ridiculous thing there is.
The book starts and says, line number 1, saving money will make you rich.
Yeah, you never will. You know that.
All taught that as kids.
Yeah, because they can print it. Why would you save it and why would you work for it if they can print it? And it's faster than you can work for it. and number 2, they keep dropping the interest rates on it.
Man, I love that video because he's exactly right. Like, what he means about printing money is that, I'll go into this photo is that, you save $1,000 in your bank account. Right, for example, you put $1,000 in your bank account and in your savings account, and you leave it there, right? The Federal Reserve tomorrow may print like X amount of money, right? They put more money. When I say printing money, that means they've just created more money out of thin air and they've put it into the economy, right? When they do that, the value of your $1,000 goes down. So, for example, say, you got $1,000, they print all this money, right? Your $1,000 can no longer buy things that were $1,000, right? It's now lost its purchasing power because of inflation, right? And I'll touch a little bit on this. When they print money, inflation goes up, right? I mean, the price of our goods and services go up in price. So you're probably able to buy like a full trolley's worth of shopping with $100 like 10 years ago. Nowadays, right, you can only buy half a trolley with $100 because inflation goes up, and it's a known fact that inflation, right, goes up to 2 to 3% a year, right? That means your rent goes up 2 to 3% a year. Your petrol goes up 2 to 3% a year, right? Your mortgage, everything goes up to 2 to 3% a year, but your wages stay the same, right? So you're losing purchasing power, right? That's why saving money, man. My parents told me to save money. A lot of people that when I was younger, they're like, saving money. Right? To this day, they're still working. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to save my money. I ain't going to save my money, man. I want to invest my money. Because when you invest your money, you're putting your money into like vehicles that will outpace inflation, right? You put it into something that grows 4% a year, right? So you're outpacing inflation, right? So the dollar's worth since Nixon shock, this chart only goes up to 2007, 2008. It's a lot worse, right? It didn't get better, right? Just know that it's a lot worse now. Where $100 back in 1971 could buy you this much, right? As they printed money, right? This red line here, represents them printing money, right? Putting more money into circulation, into the economy. The more they printed money, the less the dollar the value became, right? It lost purchasing power. So what you're able to buy with $100 back then, right, isn't the same anymore. It's dropped in value to today, and it's even worse now. About 60 to 80% of the world's money that's been printed was printed in the last 2.5 years because of COVID, right? So when you print that much money in a short amount of time, right, that's why gas prices are so spiked up right now. That's why gas in New Zealand is like $5, and gas over here is like $3. Right? It may have something to do with Russia and Ukraine, but it was going to happen anyway because, inflation, right? They just printed so much money, and they printed more money in the end of last year, right? Inflation in America right now is 7%, and it's the highest it's ever been in the last like 50, 60 years. It's crazy. Right. So as money circulation goes up, which is this red line here, the dollar value goes down. Right? The more of something makes it less valuable. Right? The more money, less valuable. And this is their way of like, right, keep an open mind. This is their way of sort of keeping us down, the elite keeping us down, right? This is more like conspiracy, but that is sort of facts as well. Because say, for example, they printed more money, but they didn't raise inflation. Right? Everyone will be rich on it. Right? Everyone will be able to afford what they wanted to because there's more money in the system, but prices stay the same. But for them, right, in order to keep us, the lower, middle, and lower class down, but they have to raise prices just to keep us down, right? You know what I mean? They don't have to raise it. They can just keep it as it is. But yeah, they don't want people to be rich. They want a society of workers, not rich millionaires, right? They want us to work.
With that as well, like Robert Kiyosaki says, like, you know, he quoted it, he's the one that said it. It's not to say anyone's a loser, but saving is for losers. Because when you're saving your money, like you might be looking at your savings account thinking, whoa, like, you know, I've saved so much money. Like back in 2020, I think I had just over $20,000 in my savings account. But the purchasing power, because of what he just explained, that money's just losing its value sitting in your savings account. Okay. Yep. That's why Robert Kiyosaki says that. Yeah.
That's why he said it. If you're saving money, you're a loser. He said it, not us.
Yeah. Right? Or him.
He said it. Don't comment us, man. Don't DM us and saying I'm not a loser. He said it. DM Robert. Inflation, right? This is the definition of inflation, but you really just want to look at the last line here, right? The rise in the general level of prices, often expressed as a percentage, means that the unit of currency effectively buys less than it did in prior periods, right? It just means, right, like I've been saying, the level of prices go up and the currency is not as worth as it was 5-10 years ago. That's what inflation is. And inflation goes up to 2 to 3% a year. How does inflation affect you? On average, inflation rises 2 to 3% a year. This means your shopping, petrol, rent, mortgage, our everyday goods and services go up in price, but your wage stays the same. Right? If you're not finding investments that outpace inflation, your future self is getting poorer and poorer due to Feds printing money. Right? And this is, like I said, man, like this is facts. This is what happens. And if you're looking around and you're like, man, I've saved so much money, but I'm still struggling. Why is this like? It's not a you thing. It's an inflation thing. It's a money printing thing. All right. That's not a you thing, right? That's not your fault. You just gotta look to invest your money. Right? If your money is in your savings account, you're getting around 0.01% a year, right? You'll be lucky to even get a 1% return a year, right? But inflation is going up 2 to 3% a year. This is why Robert Kiyosaki calls people who save money losers. Because if you look at these stats, right? Yeah. Look at these stats. Right? It doesn't make sense. Why would you leave your money in a savings account paying this when inflation is doing that? And you know what's crazy is that when you leave your money in a savings account and they give you this, right? Say, for example, you put your $20,000, right? And they say that was in your savings account. You put it in the bank and they give you that percentage a year. If I was to go to the bank and get a $20,000 loan, right? They'll give me your 20K and then charge me like 5% a year. Right? This is facts, man. This is what banks do, bro. It's not even like, I'm not even lying. This is how they use your money, because remember, your money is just number on the screen. Your bank's is just numbers on the screen. It's not actually there. They're giving it out to loans. And they're keeping the 4.9%, and they're giving Larissa her 0.1%. This is facts, man. Oh man, I wish I was making this up, but now the world's a cruel place. It's not nice.
I was getting like maybe $1 to $2 a month from interest. And it's crazy as well. Like, I thought I'd just share this. It's a little bit like off topic, but we pay the mortgage on our house, right, each week. And it's like $580. I think it's $580, but only 190 of that actually goes towards off paying the house, and the rest goes to the bank. So it's pretty crazy.
That's so sad, man. That's fuck yeah, that annoys me. It annoys me. But yeah. That's why I always wake up and I'm like, man, I'm so blessed to be alive in these times, because now we have an option to get out of this system, to get out of this rat race, to put our money elsewhere, not the bank. Okay. So what I'm showing you guys now is, Australian inflation rates. This is live updated. So right now, like I said, Australia, US is up 7.9%. The highest it's been in 50 years. UK, right? And what happened 50 years ago? What happened 50 years ago? 51 years ago. What happened 51 years ago?
Nixon watch.
Yep,
But
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And this is crazy. Just understand this. Look at New Zealand, 5.9%. Right. Brazil, 10%. Oh, snap. Okay. Just know, right, that when the USA, when their inflation rates go up or they're printing more money, because they control the money supply, the whole world's affected. Every single country is affected by what USA do. Right. And this is just Australian. So this Australian inflation rates for the last how many years, but you can see here, right, on average, 2.9. I think this is questionable, this one. I don't think it's 0.8%. I think it's more than that. They might have lied there, but you can see it's roughly about 2 to about 3% a year. But it's a known fact that inflation goes up every single year, right? Back here got 13%. Damn, this is nasty, bro. 15%. You guys can look this stuff up too. Remember, we're just two people trying to educate you guys about this to know what's actually happening out there in the world. Because it ain't nice, man. And I don't like, it's just.
You don't want to end up like Zimbabwe, where it's like $2,000 for like a piece of bread. I think I actually looked up their dollar compared to like the US dollar. Don't quote me on this because like I can't remember exactly. I just kind of like skimmed over it and Googled it. Well, actually you could go Google it, but I think it's like, oh yes, one USD is $361 Zimbabwean money. I don't know what Zimbabwean money is called. ZWD, whatever, Zimbabwe dollar.
Yeah, I think Zimbabwe dollars. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
But that's because of what's called hyperinflation. And if you look at Venezuela, I think $1 is like $1 million something dollars in theirs.
Oh.
And that's because their country, right, has been printing money. And most of those countries are corrupt. It's pretty sad, but it happens. But the most of those countries are corrupt where, the government or whoever's leading the country will just continuously print money. And because they printed so much money, right, the dollar just loses all this value. Their currency loses all this value. That's why you go to Bali, sometimes in Thailand and all that, and you can live off like $100 Australian a year, right? It's because of hyperinflation, right? So that's why we're here today. That's why Larissa's got her investment vehicles. That's why I day trade and I find a way to put my money in investments. That's because we need to find ways to outpace inflation. If you're just saving your money, trust me, your money's dead. You might as well go flush it down the toilet. That's not going to do much for you. Okay, not financial advice. Don't actually do that. Okay, all right. But you need to find ways to outpace inflation. This is the only way to get out of debt, right? To get out of to become financially free. It's to find. Yes, it is risky, but if you don't do it right and you just keep saving, right, you're gonna keep getting what you've been getting. Right, you need to take risks to break chains, man. Break generational curses of poverty. But that's what I'm doing. My parents and my family's just growing up with no money, and I'm just sick of it. And so I chose to put my hand up to be like, you know what? It ends with me. It ends today. It ends in my lifetime. Like from my kids' generation onwards, like they're not gonna live in poverty anymore. They're gonna break this chain. So I chose, because if you don't do it, like someone else is gonna do it in your family. Right? So I chose it to be me. So that's what motivates me, man. Because I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for like my grandkids, my whatever,
Exactly.
Generation down the line.
Yeah, like by doing stuff like that, it really does affect those around you, especially those closest to you. Like you're not going to be serving anyone, when you have no money or you're broke. So yeah, you're completely right.
That's right.
I agree.
And it is hard for people, to like kind of, people just, they like to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Right. That's why everyone else is broke.
Yeah.
You just do what they're doing.
I had a thought as well, and with people watching this, what Orlando is sharing this is like massive knowledge, especially if you're someone new just learning all of this. And I just think knowledge without implementation is useless. So really go ahead and use what you're learning from this and decide, how you're going to go about it. Like everyone's going to have different ways about it, but yeah, 100%.
That's right. A lot of people, they used to say me included, I used to be like, yeah, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. And then someone come up to me and was like, nah, man, knowledge ain't power. Applied knowledge is power. Because you can know everything in the world, but if you don't do anything about it, right, nothing's going to change. So applied knowledge is power. So you take all this stuff, do something about it, all right? DM us or something, I don't know. Let us know. All right. So that half of the slides is a little bit, about the history of money and inflation and where we are today, right? So now I want to touch into sort of, what is Web 3.0? Because cryptocurrency is technology and it is part of the internet, right? So cryptocurrency is money. So that's why I touched on that in the first half of the slide. Now I want to get into the technology, so the internet side of it, right? So what is Web 3.0, right? The evolution of the internet, right? I want to start at Web 1, obviously. Web 1 was when the internet first sort of came about. This is mid 90s, early 2000s sort of vibe. Web 1 was only something you could go on the internet, but you're only able to read content on the internet, right? You weren't able to post your TikToks and all that, or post statuses. You're only able to read off the internet, right? Just like a magazine or something, you just open it and you just read. You weren't able to edit it, right? The same thing as Web 1, right? That's when the internet first come out. Web 1, where now now fast forward 10 years later to where 2010 around that era, Web 2.0 come out, right? Where now you're able to not just read on the internet, you're now able to write on the internet, right? This way, blogging, vlogging, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, Google, right? You're able to Wikipedia, you're able to edit things on the internet now. This is Web 2. Fast forward again 10 years to 2020, 2021, right? Now we got Web 3.0 where you can now read, write, and own parts of the internet, right? This is where Bitcoin and NFTs are big, right? Because now you're able to own something that's on the internet that is yours, right? It's decentralized. So what I mean about decentralization is that when I have an NFT, I create an NFT, right? I put it online. I am the full owner of that content. That is my NFT, right? I can choose how much it costs, how much to sell it for, what happens to it, if I can take it off the net so no one else can have it, right? That's mine. With Web 2.0, right? The last 10 years on Facebook, Instagram, right? When you post content on Instagram, right? Or Facebook, yes, you did post it and it is you on the video, but you don't own that data, right? They've stored that data. So even if you delete it, take it off the internet, right? They still have your data. They can own it. It's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it. They can resell your data to other companies. So before I was doing day trading, I was doing e-commerce, and it kind of blew my mind where I was selling. My missus was doing selling jewelry stuff. And I was asking what's your demographics? Who do you want to sell it to? And she was like, whatever, ladies, stay-at-home moms, whatever. And so then it'll only show, and we had to pay for these ads too. So we paid for the data, and then it'll only show our ads to those people that we wanted to see it to, right? Because Facebook had all the data. They knew who were stay-at-home moms. They knew who were into jewelry. So then they'll sell us the data so that we're able to post it. So that's why you go on Google and you look stuff up on Google, and then you go on Facebook or Instagram and you see ads about that, right? It's because they're selling your data, because now you're so now that, because you've looked up a restaurant down the road, right? You're entered into that data system now, where now you're going to be showing restaurant stuff, right? Because you're showing an interest in it. And it's so crazy, man. That's a whole rabbit hole in itself. I don't even get it. And I was like, man, this is crazy. If they can do this with just everyday people, imagine what they're doing with big companies. Oh, bro, it's crazy, man.
It's kind of like you have a conversation with someone and your phone almost hears you. Or I don't want to sound paranoid or anything like that.
Oh man, don't, man. You're gonna start something, man. Oh man, we're gonna be called crazy. But you're right, it is, man. Like I reckon our friends listen to us right now. Hey, what's up, man? What was that? Gonna join the call? Like, watch it. Shit, serious. Back to the video. I feel like it's really important to share this video. Because this video was recorded, December last year, which was, a little over 3 months ago. Right, it's got about almost 4.5 million views. But what this is, right, it's that cryptocurrency CEOs, right, cryptocurrency exchange CEOs are sitting in front of Congress. So for those who don't know who Congress are, they're the policy makers. They're the ones that make rules and policies on pretty much everything that we do around the world. But most importantly, they put policies on, investments, on where people put their money, right? There has to be rules and regulations where, if this happens, there's a policy that can save you from it, right? If there's rules on it, they can ultimately get your money back or something like that, right? So Congress, very important. Congress right now, today, right? If you're sitting on this call watching this, thinking that cryptocurrency is gone next year, like, I don't know what to tell you. Congress going out of their way to understand cryptocurrency so that they can put rules and regulations on it. And once that happens, right, like every single person will come into the space right now. Right? It's going to open the floodgates to everyone. Right? So I want to play this video. It's about 5 minutes. And this guy kind of explains what cryptocurrencies are, right? It's a good example. So.
Really quickly, sorry, before you play it. And also, like the big banks, like the Fed and stuff, they've been trying to like speak to, he looks like a small guy, but he is like one of the guys behind Ethereum, one of the founders of Ethereum. They're trying to him, like, like you kind of just got to put 2 and 2 together to realize, well, they obviously want inside information to understand how it works so that, like what Orlando just said, they can put, regulations and things or get in there somehow. Yeah.
Yep. And good point too with banks. I just want to announce that today, or 2 hours ago, ANZ becomes the first Australian bank to mint a stablecoin. Stablecoin is a cryptocurrency. Right. The first becomes the first. So just think about it. Right. Congress are on it. Banks are on it. They don't think it's going to be gone next year. So why would they even waste their time? Like, if it was gone next year, why would they even waste their time making moves towards the space, right? So just know we are very early, and this is not going away. This is here to stay. They know. They've seen my slideshow with the upgraded technology and money transactions. Right? We're just upgrading again. That's all it is, right? And they know it as well. So I'll play this video.
Let's step back from digital assets and blockchain.
Can you hear that okay?
Let's talk about where the internet was.
I guess people just have to turn up their volume. Turn up your volume if you're watching.
Level set. The internet was a read-only format. Yes, we're consuming it. And there's additional layers that we place on. It became much more interactive. But counterintuitively, much more interactive, but much more centralized in Web 1, Web 2. What we're hearing now is Web 3. Policymakers need to understand the nature of Web 3. This is a hearing about a component of Web 3. Now, along those lines, what are the characteristics that define Web 1 and Web 2?
Mr. McHenry, thank you very much for that question. I think that's critical to understanding what we're all trying to build here. So the characteristic of Web 1, if people remember their original AOL account, was an ability to look in a curated walled garden at a set of content that was not interactive, but was presented to you on AOL the way that Time Magazine used to show you the articles they wanted you to see inside of their magazine, because you could see it on a screen. The innovation of Web 2 was that suddenly you could not only read content, but you could also write content. This is when the blogosphere began. People remember this from the late 90s, the early 2000s. The reason for the centralization of the internet, of course, was that all of that activity was being monetized by a very small number of companies. Facebook, as the chairwoman mentions, Google, and 2 or 3 other companies. What makes Web3 different is the ability to own the actual network. And that's what crypto assets themselves represent, is an ownership stake in an underlying network. So when you hear people talk about, for example, layer 1 tokens, what they mean is, this is your reward
for providing the ledger maintenance services, the computing power to the network that on Web 1 and 2 was done by Google, right? So now people in my hometown of Pueblo, Colorado can actually own the Ethereum network. But they can't own the internet. That's owned by Google and a few other companies. That's what the project crypto is all about, is allowing people to directly own the network that have native assets that are supporting it. And that's the nature of decentralization, where the token holders are the people who control the asset,
Okay,
not
so
Google.
token holders, for our language here on the Hill, which are digital assets, right? Which are the keys to open up the ledger for you to participate, right? So describe to us how those digital assets fit into this internet revolution, Web3.
So the concept is that you have sort of application layer tokens and you have protocol layer tokens. So if I'm an owner of Bitcoin, let's say that I'm a miner of Bitcoin, somebody who actually creates Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is the reward I receive for doing the work to keep the network operational. And that allows me to own a piece of the Bitcoin blockchain. Or take Ethereum, which is easier to understand. The Ether token represents an ownership stake in the network. But on top of that network are all kinds of apps that get built on the network, much like the apps on your phone depend on the underlying network existing that lets the phone operate. And so people will make judgments about which network is likely to win, and they will invest in the tokens in that network much the same way you might invest in Google stock because you think Google is going to scale access to the original internet. The difference being here, you can vote on what happens in the future of a proof of stake network, for example. You can get rewarded through a proof of work token for maintaining a ledger on something like Bitcoin. But the real message here is that what happens on the decentralized internet is decided by the investors versus what happens on the main internet is decided by Twitter, Facebook, Google, and a small number of other companies.
Okay, so getting this layer on digital assets right, for Congress to understand this, everything is built upon that on-ramp to this new internet. So very important for us to be sensitive to how this develops and any actions we take in terms of laws and updating laws to incorporate these new technologies.
Mr. McHenry couldn't agree more. And I think when you hear about all of the problems of different big tech companies, the importance of an owner-controlled network becomes clear.
Okay, owner-controlled network rather than a cooperative, right? And thinking in those terms, right? So if you're not a part of management, you're not making a decision in Web 2. If you are a participant in the network, you're cooperating in the making of those decisions.
Exactly right.
So I ask this not to be insulting to the panel, but to have a level set here, so we have an understanding of.
That's enough. So so just to kind of break down what he said is that, in Web 2, right, say if you into stocks and you own Facebook shares, right, you just own the share. You don't have a decision. You don't have a say in what happens to Facebook, right? That's made by Mark Zuckerberg and his boys, right? With Web 3, right, if you own a cryptocurrency, right, the investors, you as a holder, you get to have a say on what is called, what happens in that cryptocurrency. So you have this thing which is called voting rights, where again, it's all built on the blockchain, right? This technology blockchain, where the owners of the cryptocurrency would be like, yeah, well, should we adopt this crypto or this crypto? And everyone that's holder of the currency, right? Because they'll know that you hold it because of blockchain, it's in your wallet, whatever. You would actually get a say in what happens, right? So this kind of gives ownership back to the investors that, if you are holding this crypto, you get to have a say, and it's yours. It's a community that, something that you believe in. And you get to have a say in it. With Facebook, even Google, Amazon stock, right? You don't have a say, you just hold it. And if next week they're like, yeah, we don't like Amazon anymore, the creators are like, we don't like Amazon, we're gonna plummet the price back down to zero. Well, you got no say about it. The only thing you can do is sell it, right? With 3.0, now we get to have a say. And like we said before, it's giving power back to the people, to the investors. And man, that's what I was thinking too. This is what I think as well. The next 10 years, right, the trend, how the last 10 years was cool when it was the trend to become a rapper or to be a drill rapper. Before that, from 2000 to 2010, right, it used to be cool to be a dancer, when Stomp the Yard, all them come out. I feel like for this coming decade, I think the next trend and the cool thing to do is to become an investor, is to become like put money, like to see who can make the most money pretty much this next 10 years. Because you see it every day, man. Oh, it's happening, right? So the difference between centralized and decentralization, right? I want to touch quickly on this. Centralized on the left there, right? These people in the middle, right? This is Mark Zuckerberg and his boys, right? And these are the shareholders, right? People who own the shares, even use, right? They even use Facebook, right? Us as consumers, right? Like over here, we benefit off Facebook, right? We talk to our friends, we talk to our family all over the world, but we don't make any money of it, right? We use the network, but we don't make any money from it, right? All the money is made by the shareholders, right? With decentralization, right? If you use the network, right? Like you said, proof of work and proof of stake, when you use the network, right? You're actually getting paid to just hold the coin. Just like board apes yacht club
Yeah.
and the apes, right? Just for holding and owning the NFT, you're paid an ape coin just for holding it, right? You didn't have to do anything. You just bought it and just kept it in your wallet, but you're paid for it, right? This is a reward that's given back to the holders for believing in the project or investing into the project, right? This is what we call decentralization, right? And now you have play to earn crypto games, where if you play a certain crypto game, right, like something in the metaverse, and you have challenges, when you do the challenges, you'll actually get paid in the cryptocurrency. And in that crypto, you can actually buy real life things with it, right? For anyone that wanted to be a streamer, right, I'm sure everyone knows one person that wants to be a streamer. Right now, they can actually get paid for playing games, right? You don't have to have views and do all this other stuff like Ninja, right? Ninja's kind of worn off right now because crypto's out, right? Because anyone can get paid now, right? So you can look that up too. Look for play to earn crypto games, right? Connect your wallet, go play some games, get paid in crypto. Right?
Oh, question. Do you play any like crypto games?
Yeah, I have a few. Oh yeah.
Oh, no, you go. You drop them because I'm curious to know as well. And I'm pretty sure people watching this will want to know. Because I'm a gamer. I will sit there and game all day if I feel like it. So why not get paid to do it, I did look at Axie Infinity, but that game looked so boring. And then you've got to have 3 little Axie NFTs to actually play.
Oh, okay.
It just looked so like boring, man. Like I love the idea of fighting, but no, it just looks so boring. So
so I have a few apps. So I have ones called Bitcoin Bounce. You actually get paid in Bitcoin Cash, and it's literally an app. You can download these apps on your phone. Bitcoin Bounce. I have another one called Arc8, which is ARC and then the number 8. And that has multiple games in it, and you get paid in GME tokens. Where's the other one? I have one more.
Because I'll put screenshots up so you guys can see it.
Yes. Oh, yep, sweet. And man, there's one more.
So these are apps. See, I'm like, I need to get into the gaming because I can sit there all day and I can play and get paid. Like, just makes so much sense.
That's every streamer's dream.
Yeah.
Right. If we're looking for more, you can just go here, and we might even do a video on CoinGecko too, like later for people.
Yeah, I think no. I would actually really like that because I've got CoinGecko, but I don't even really use it.
Oh man, this is actually go to see the update in the market. So I'll just go into the category of play to earn coins, right? Coins that you can actually, so if you're not playing the game, you can actually just own the coin, sort of like a shareholder of the coin. So something like Sandbox, these are all metaverses, Axie Infinity, Decentralized, Sandbox. Gala's a cool one. Gala is one that Snoop Dogg's actually coming out with a listen to earn game. Listen to earn. How crazy is that? So if you, it's honestly, man, this world's good. It's so crazy, man. Listen to earn. Snoop Dogg.
I was looking at Sandbox as well. I need to get into it. So I downloaded Roblox last night and I was going to start playing that. So when I go into Sandbox, because it's kind of similar, but yeah. But do you need a sandbox? Do you need a piece of their land to actually play? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you do. Yeah, with Decentraland, this one, here you can just jump on that. You just need a MetaMask wallet.
Oh, okay, okay. I'll jump on that because I did see. I know this is like soft topic, and we'll do like an NFT video for you guys soon. But I was looking on OpenSea and I saw that sand was down to like only 10,000 New Zealand dollars, and I was like, oh, do I get one? Like, because it
Oh,
is,
the land.
yeah, it's
Oh yeah,
it's in a bit of a dip at the moment, and it was down to like 2.5 Ethereum or like the floor price. So I was
yeah.
like, oh, like I'm very, very tempted. But I feel like in the next few weeks or next wee while, maybe like a few months, it may come down a bit more. I feel like it's in a little bit of a bear, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my judgment. I can't predict the future as much as I'd love to, but yeah.
Man, like this is not financial advice, but to me personally, like, because I day trade, so I see like what's happening with the US dollar, like sort of before it happens. But I think we're due for like a quite a recession this year. Like I think something's gonna crash this year. And oh shit, I should show you that video. But yeah, I think things are gonna take a dip later on this year. Because in order for an economy to adopt a new like sort of money transaction, like they have to kind of collapse everything and then rebuild it back up on this new system. So we haven't collapsed yet. Like the COVID sort of just stretched out the collapse, but I think it's just gonna just go boom down and then back up. But yeah,
I can't wait for that because it's like, yay, like that's a really good buy-in time.
everything's on sale, right? But this is Gala. Snoop Dogg's coming out with Listen to Earn, where it's pretty much that. If you listen to his music, you'll earn Gala. And Gala right now is about what? 25 cents? Which isn't much, but when's the last time you got paid to listen to music?
Yeah. And who doesn't want to not listen to Snoop Dogg? Like his music's good. So
And he's because you know how he's oh man, I'm kind of going off here, but he owns Death Row Records now, and he's saying Death Row Records are going to be the first NFT record label. Plans show benefits for musician, artists, fans.
like it's huge, guys. Like if you don't think that, this is where the world's heading, it's kind of right in front of us all, quite literally.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, these are all play to earn games, right? If you're on CoinGecko, right? If you just like say for example Gala, we'll click on Gala. Say you want to have a nosy, right? If you click on Gala, like here on the right side, you see website. This will have the link to the official website, so then you can have a little nosy. Do your own due diligence. Remember, do your own research. Have a look and see what vibes with you, and yeah, get into it. I hate having heaps of tabs like this. I'm just like,
Oh, you should see my computer tabs. I have like, it would stress you out. There's like tabs all across mine.
man, that gives me anxiety. See, Gala games, coming to games. These are all the games that you can play to earn. Like, bro, what are you gonna do? Like, and it tells you need a Mac PC. You even got a Walking Dead PC. Play to earn games. Come on. All right, it's literally all there right in front of you, fam. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. We're just here just to kind of introduce you guys, okay? So the last bit of my slideshow is how does crypto fit into all this, right? When we're talking about crypto, right? Crypto's metaverse, NFTs, Bitcoin, altcoins, right? Ethereum, all that, right? These are all like the guy said on the YouTube video, these are all digital assets, right? Assets nowadays you think of like a house, right? Assets is something that puts money into your pocket, something that grows in value over time. That's what an asset is. Digital currency, digital assets, right? All these here, they're all digital assets. So, like for example, if you were to put 100, like 10 years ago, if you were to put $100 into Bitcoin, buy $100 worth of Bitcoin and did nothing, right? Didn't put any more money into it. You just put $100 worth 10 years ago and you left it. Today, it'll be worth over $14 million, right? $14 million off a $100 investment. That's what you call an asset. And there's no other asset on this planet in existence in history that's giving you that sort of return, like cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin has. Okay, so keep an open mind. These are all assets; they're just digital. So you, like, you know how you said you think of buying land. You know, like it's crazy because you can actually buy land, and then once metaverse comes big, you can actually rent your land out. People can build homes on top of it. It's just like whatever's in the physical world today, there's going to be a digital version of it. Just put it like that.
That's like why I got my meta mansion. So
Yeah.
when did I get that? Last weekend or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a mansion in the metaverse. You'll be able to rent it out. Like, just think real estate, but just digital.
Man. Digital, yeah. So why is crypto so attractive to people? I won't touch too much onto this. The graph's pretty self-explanatory. But take a screenshot if you want, right? Trace some money compared to gold, fiat, and Bitcoin. You can see here a lot of greens here in Bitcoin. The only thing that's red in, low in, is a sovereign, right? Government issued. Bitcoin is not owned by any government. It's not government issued. So that's low. But everything else, right, was scarce, easy trace, transactable, secure, highly divisible, durable, portable, everything, right? Like Fortify even put it like if you had $1 billion in gold, right? If you want to take it across the world, you'd have to hire a massive plane, right? Do a few trips to take your gold. But with Bitcoin, right, you got $1 billion in Bitcoin. You can just take your phone in your app, right, and just download your wallet in another country. Like it's sort of no-brainer.
You'd need a huge shed, like $14 million worth of gold. A big shed. Yeah.
Yeah. This graph here just shows the adoption of Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, right? I just want to make it clear now that Bitcoin is the fastest adopted technology in history. Bitcoin was adopted faster than the internet, right? And how many people use the internet today? Everyone, right? But Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, after what, 7 years of existence, it passed the users, right? So this like same year growth, right? After 7 years of the internet and 7 years of Bitcoin, right? If you put them side by side, this is what it would look like. So after 7 years, after 7 years of Bitcoin, boom, it took over, and there was more people using Bitcoin than there were the internet after 7-8 years, and it's just continuing to grow and grow and grow, right? So note that down. Bitcoin is the fastest dollar technology in history. Facts. And then also, Bitcoin is the fastest growing asset in the world. It produces the most percentage return per year than any other asset on this planet. Assets, right? Comparing it to stocks now, Amazon, Apple, Visa. These are the average returns per year, right, for the last 10 years. Bitcoin was paying back on average, right, 173% a year, which means that if you put, $1,000 into Bitcoin, right, by a 12-month period, your return will be 1,700. So then you would end up with $2,700, right? And if you talk about compound interest, right, and then for the next 12 months, right, you add another 173% on top of that 2,700, it just grows and grows and grows, right? This is how rich people are, like, become rich, right? Because they understand compounding. But if you don't understand compounding, man, go look it up. Go look it up. All right, and that's facts, right? And then Bitcoin being adopted today, right? We touched on it before with Ukraine and Russia. Their bank accounts were frozen, even in Canada, but people were still able to buy and transact Bitcoin, right? The U.S. government have actually announced that they're going to regulate cryptocurrency this year, because believe it or not, right, millionaires and all the rich elite, right, they're legally not allowed to buy cryptocurrency, and at the same time they are too scared to buy cryptocurrency because they don't know if it's a scam or not. They don't want to put all their money into the space because there's no rules and regulations on it, right? That's why the YouTube video of Congress, they're trying to regulate it, right? Regulate just means rules, okay? Where the only people that are buying it today, right, are the everyday people like you and I. People watching this video, Larissa, me, right? Everyone that I know of are buying it. So once, Biden said, once it's regulated, right, and there's rules and policies on it, right, all those millionaires, I'm talking about trillions of dollars are going to flow into this space because now, they've labeled it safe for them to put their money here. Right? There's rules that if their money goes down, they're gonna be able to have like they're gonna call someone and be like, yo, like what's the rules, policies, I'll get my money back. Right? At the moment, you can't do that. Right? Which is a risk, but at the same time, right, you're gonna risk it for the biscuit. Okay, not financial advice again, but that's what's happening today, right? California introduces a bill to accept Bitcoin for taxes. El Salvador becomes first country in the world accepting cryptocurrency as legal tender. Mexico, I think, is looking to make Bitcoin legal tender. And I think I just seen another news too. Let me just have a quick look. Right, Singapore's biggest bank CEO saying Bitcoin can be the alternative to gold. Right, this is all this adoption happening all over the world, and more people are buying into this. Right, and a lot of everyday people like us are just like sitting back and waiting for it. And I'm like, man, the best time to get on the rocket ship is before it takes off.
Yeah.
You don't want to jump on it while it's going. That's just lame. And you're just waiting. It's just, I don't want to, I was gonna call you losers, but you're not a loser, all right? You just.
Yeah, I feel like even everything that we've showed you as well, you can start to piece together like the value in actually investing into cryptocurrency. Okay, so you can kind of use your imagination there.
Yep.
For those watching, yeah.
Yep. And that's the end of the slide, man. That's it. Right. Remember, we're putting you guys in the empowerment to know this sort of stuff so you guys can do your own research. We want you to do your own due diligence. We want you to go on Google and jump into this rabbit hole and then be like, man, those two are right. Like, man, I thought they're crazy, but they're right. All right. So is there any questions that you've been having that I haven't maybe covered on the slide?
No, I think you covered everything, but you know, to those watching as well, we will be doing more videos in future because, you know, we kind of touched on NFTs and I bet you more people are going to want to know that. Oh, even actually drop comments on this video around, you know, videos that you may want to see Orlando explain or like myself explain, things like that. Also too, like I do encourage you, and I'll pop his handle down below. I do encourage you guys to go and follow Orlando if you feel, you know, like you want to. I'm not forcing you to do so or anything like that. But a lot of people who maybe have never heard of like, you know, anything that was shared as well on this are probably thinking, well, you know, where can I start, or how did you guys start? You can reach out to us. As I said before, I put our Instagram handles below. But just remember too, you're going to be making your own decisions. All right. So if it does feel right for you to actually start, like, you know, exactly where we start, because we can only show you like what we've gone on and done for ourselves and what's worked for us. So you can see if it fits for you and then, you know, decide from there. Okay. So yeah, I think that's it. But also, you know, knowledge without implementation, like knowledge is only really potential power. Okay. A lot of people do be also aware of who you take advice from, because you do want to be taking advice from people who are kind of like where you want to be or are on the road to, like, you know, where you also want to be. So yeah, make your own decisions, do your own research. It's basically all I've got to say. Do you have anything else to say?
Nah, that's about it. No, it's a pleasure doing this, and I can't wait for the next videos, man. I hope this opens a lot of people's eyes to what is happening today. And yeah, man, just get into it. DM us if you have any questions, and I'll never share anything. Right? Just know that I'll never share anything that I haven't done myself, right? Because then it'll be a scam, right? But I do it first before I even share it to people. So just know that as well. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the call.
Thanks for being on. You're the man.
Yo, sweet. All right. Thanks for jumping on, fam. Take care, and I will see you guys later.